This is way up on the side of a pretty tall glacial mountain. It used to be capped by snow. There was cover over this ice, and it was only recently the snow melted. And guess what? It exposed these beautiful veins like the sherbet. They did a lot of channel sampling very early time period, and they got some really nice thicknesses, but also really nice grades. Like gold was typically 10, 15 gram gold equivalent over, a few meters, like 6 to 10 meters, something like that. Really caught my attention, particularly with the continuity and the geometry of the thing, with all of the veins being effectively above the valley bottom.
Good morning. Happy Friday, everyone. Gold, 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 gold. Wow. It's a new high today. Now, under the threat of tariffs, that is the reasoning. I think there's a whole slew of reasons that most of you know about as to why gold is being such a remarkable asset to be holding and to continue to hold, regardless of tariffs or not. Things are looking very good in the gold sector, in the gold market. And sooner or later, people are going to, there's so much room for it to grow in scope and size from a retail perspective as well, that there's there's huge upside, and we couldn't be happier. And on that note, we're going to touch on a number of different things. There's reasons for why we've been showing these ads for the last month before each show, both Power Nickel and Goliath. And I think those are becoming quite evident as to why we've been showing those, even when we haven't specifically spoken about it. Although you'll remember Dr. Quinton Henning was on a few weeks back, and we see great movement from both of those companies being received exceptionally well. Luckily, with the likes of Goliath, and we'll get into a bit more, here when we continue talking. We've been working with Goliath and owned shares of Goliath for years and years. We believe in this story. We believe in the syndicate and the entire team that they've amassed. Roger right now is in Cape Town, telling the story there. He travels a lot. He gets out and about. The big news, not only from back at the conferences, was it last week, 10 days ago now, 10 days or so, was the drill results, which were incredible, and we're waiting on a ton more. It was yesterday's announcement from McEwen Mining that they are coming in for, I think, 3%, so 10 million. And that is significant, because once again, you start attracting the likes of the Dr. Quinton Henning, Rob McEwen, all these kinds of names into your deal. People take that as a sign, because you're attracting savvy mining investors that have done very well in the past, and they start to recognize things. And although the stock pulled back a little bit from that 10 million announcement, as junior exploration, especially a stock like Goliath that has massive trading volume, it attracts not only long-term capital that looks to say this thing might become a mine, to those that say this thing's very tradable. This thing trades like it's a lot of volume. And you want to see that. You want to see both crowds satisfied that they can make some money and provide a lot of liquidity. So we'll get into a bit more depth as to why we like Goliath. There certainly is information on our Substack. And I mean, there's a myriad of interviews that you can go through over the years where we've expressed our excitement as to what they were developing, and they continue to develop. And it's very exciting. Power Nickel is no different. I mean, it's amazing to have one high confidence stock for any year, especially in mining, because if a mining stock goes, it goes asymmetric. But to have two is exceptional, especially in the light of what I think is coming for the mining sector. And Power Nickel has been knocking it out of the park. We had them on the show a year ago. We immediately started buying, and told people that as part of our network that we were really excited. Go check out this interview, and then started officially working with them back in September. And that stock, since September, 60 cents, is up at $1.38 right now. They had an interview today where they went through a lot of where they're going, what's happening. Their drill program's underway. Results are coming. They stepped out 700 meters. Their Nisk property is outstanding. Never mind that this line zone as well. So the big story there is that it is comparable to some degree. And once again, my view is not terribly relevant. But if you have Dr. Steve Beresford, who is an expert specifically in polymetallic metals and these types of rare discoveries or geological settings, he's the one who made the analogy or the comparison in a small sense to the Norilsk project in Russia. That's huge. And they're saying no one wants to make a full comparison at this point. That's too promotional, but it's there. I mean, the sniffs, the geology looks the same. It doesn't have the scope and size, but it could be. And that's what they wanted to plan out, was they're saying, we have this, we've stepped out over here, we have that. There could be a bunch of these projects on this large package of property they have. And that's their goal, is that they are going to keep advancing at a strong rate. And the critical takeaways, or the big deal over this, is next Friday, I think they have a name change, which will reflect really who they are, because people think, oh, it's just a nickel story. It changed, in the summer from a nickel story to this polymetallic. They'll now be called Power Metallic, and that is a more illustrative and acknowledgeable name to reflect what they're doing and what they're building. This new discovery, the new zone, it just means bigger potential, and that's what you want to see. People want to see both things. They want to see, yes, you've got high grade, but is there size and scale? Those are the two major things. And it sounds obvious. You obviously want a ton of scale and a ton of high grade. But it really matters when you're picking through projects, looking in the junior mining space, who even fits that they're looking for big with big. And they're doing it. These first steps that they've been doing have been remarkable. The results have been incredible, and they're going to keep on aggressively drilling. Not just the extension at the Nisk main or line. They're looking at other targets as well. They think there's an interesting way that Terry Lynch put it. He goes, kind of imagine that it's like the palm of a hand with all these veins kind of popping out this way. They're looking for that kind of mother structure, or that foundation that's pumping the system. And the timing of it is fantastic, because one thing is to talk about gold, and that people like to talk about gold discoveries, especially in mining, and especially where gold is at right now. There's going to be a lot of mining companies, production companies, that are going to be showing some great numbers. But it's a whole other ball game whenever you have a mining story that has all of these polymetallic metals that are required for any kind of transition. If you look at a Norilsk, it is the largest discovery. It's incredible. And people look at not only the copper and the nickel there, or the PGMs, it's pulled 20 million gold out of it. I mean, it's absolutely incredible what they have up there. Now, I'm not suggesting that it's going to be the same, or a scope and scale or anything, but it's interesting to know that deposit, which is showing some similarities, may be the same type of thing that we're seeing here at Power Nickel. And if it had that gold component as well, you can imagine where this thing takes off to. So we're really excited about what both those companies are doing, because there's results pending. They've been going at it hard. They've been getting the attention of a lot of people. I think we've mentioned a number of times, Power Nickel has something like 11 billionaires in the deal. So these are two companies that are going after it right now. And they can, because they get funded. They're being funded because they stand out. And that's being reflected in the stock. And sometimes we can get a little... what do you say, like kind of taken back or let down, because it's a tough junior market. It really is. But it is awesome. The start of 2025, we've seen some incredible results. We've mentioned some of them before. That Amark was huge. Benton Resources, although the stock didn't move as much, they had a great result. We've reached out to them as well. Hopefully we'll hear something from them. So there's a lot of great things happening. And under the threat or auspices of what's going on too with tariffs possibly happening, that's causing gold to go up and making people really focus on what we've been talking on for a long time. It's bringing it to people's forefront of who is going to be our trading partner, who should we be trading with, and leave away some of the other political issues, whether it's border and all that sort of thing. That's not what we want to get into. But what we do want to get into is talking to people about how we can become a real strong, fair trading partner with the U.S. We have an opportunity here in Canada if we have the right people in place. I don't care which side at this point, what side of the fence they're on, but if they have a strong business mind in hand to say, we want to get these critical metals out of the ground as soon as we can to meet the expectations that we have, and we can get it not only to plenty of smart Canadian companies and talent, but we can also have a very open, aggressive buying U.S. market. You can imagine if we are able to unlock that wealth as a resource country, what that could do for the country. It would be incredible. There's no reason we couldn't. Australia does it. And they are very far left liberal type. Why couldn't we? There's no reason why we couldn't. You wouldn't have to change any ideological foundation that you have in order to do that. It just means that you have to have the conviction that you believe in your narrative of climate change, or you believe that we need these solutions. And if that's the case, then we should be a world leader. We have strong integrity, strong reputation, and a strong regulatory, I'd say too strong, that we could get things done very well, efficiently, and we should, because we don't want it getting done in places that aren't under as much scrutiny. Because once again, just because we don't see something getting done doesn't mean it doesn't affect the atmosphere, the water, or anything else. Those days are long gone when you can in any way kind of be a NIMBY person. As long as I don't see it, then we're being great. And unfortunately, a lot of people are like that. As long as we don't do it in Canada, then Canada is virtuous and great. We'll let them do it in XYZ. That doesn't make any sense if you actually believe in the narrative of carbon being an issue, of pollution being an issue. It doesn't make any sense. It's a logical fallacy. So I would argue we want it here so we can oversee it and we can do it properly, and we want it to be done and funded as well as possible. On that funding note, I'll just kind of throw out a couple things here before I finish off with Goliath, because it's worth mentioning. Part of what we do is we let people know companies that we love and we like. It's how we've done really well in the past. It's in part, we got to work with Great Bear years ago. We had great success with that. That was when I was first starting out. I think it was in the second year or so. And being involved in big wins like that, hey, it's helpful for us. It's great. It doesn't, and I'm not saying that, hey, Andrew's got a great means of picking winners all the time. It isn't necessarily that. We have a framework, like a model that we use, and we have a network that we use. And that's a lot of the hard work and heavy lifting, is being able to rely on a lot of smart people and their expertise. That goes a long way. And we make sure for our subscribers that we're doing that. We're identifying risk. We're explaining the asymmetric possibility, really putting timeframes into perspective. A lot of investing in mining is, although you can get these spikes like we've seen this last few weeks have been, whoa, like exciting, like things are up and it's great. But they're long-term projects. Everything takes time. You have to find these targets. It's a lot of data, and there's a methodical, step-by-step process that has to happen. And of course, we have to fight with weather. So we have to put things into perspective that, there's a lot of intrinsic built-up value that hasn't been unlocked in a lot of projects. There's a lot of great projects in Canada that they have this. They just haven't been unlocked, but they can be. And they can be if you look at something like there was a fund here that there's an article, in mining.com that talks about some of the funding that's going on out of Saudi Arabia, $1.2 billion that they are funding towards metals. And they're looking at China, they're looking at South America, they're looking at Africa. Now, they didn't mention Canada. That's unfortunate. Why aren't they looking at Canada? We need to ask ourselves that question. And hopefully, as we've seen trillions pour into the U.S., when the U.S. announced that it's open for business, that it wants to work and provide jobs for the people, maybe if Canada did the same and said, listen, we want to remove all these obstacles to innovation and actually encourage investment in our country. I mean, I like to put that. Can you imagine what would happen if we unlocked the value that we had here? And it's here. It is. We've got training wheels on. So hopefully we see that. My thesis is that we will. And if we get any sniff of that there's actually a constructive plan to be able to unlock the value that we have here in Canada, then I think you're going to see the entire commodity markets, metals, mining, natural gas, all of these do exceptionally well. And leading that charge are companies, like Power Nickel and Goliath. I mean, we look at Goliath and, people say, hey, well, Andrew, can you compare that to what you had seen with the likes of Great Bear at the start? You say, not really. I mean, they're not the same geology at all. They're not the same region. The scale with Goliath is growing. Is they have put so much down in 14 months on the ground. Is incredible what they've put together. Now that's been stretched over 4 years though, because they have to deal with the weather up there. But they've only had 14 months on the ground, and what they've put together is shocking. And that once you get some of these big players getting involved, as you would have saw with Great Bear, is people coming into the deal at different sections, adding more. I hate to use sort of credibility, but certainly adding a lot more flavor whenever you're getting further acknowledgement from mining billionaires and major investors saying, yes, we're acknowledging that you have something here. How big can it get? That's the only similarity as far as that growth, because although it looks like in real time, years and years and years, Goliath is moving slower, on actual boots on the ground, it's moving at lightning fast. It's incredible. And the big distinction between the likes of a Goliath too is they've got 100% hit rate right now. That's unheard of. Now, I'm not saying all of them are massive grades and all that. That's not the case, but they have 100% hit rate, and that is something to pay attention on. We're going to go in depth about what they have in an article. We're also going to take a look at, because we heard Dr. Quinton Henning talk about Goliath Sherbet and comparing it to some degrees to Pogo. And we're going to look at that. We're going to look at some numbers there. Pogo's 10 million ounces of gold. I mean, how many billion ounces of copper? We'll leave that out. We'll just focus gold. And you can imagine, I mean, I think they're pulling at 400,000 ounces a year. We're going to look at that, and we're going to see what that looks like, if it's got a similar geology, a similar type of system. And if Dr. Quinton Henning is saying, hey, I see similarities between that and this, that's pretty optimistic. 10 million ounces of gold at today's price, I mean, we're up today, but say it's 4,000 Canadian, $40 billion. Now, once again, I'm not making predictions as to that's exactly what there's here. They have models that range pretty highly, but this is a growing system and it's looking pretty exciting, and the market's reflecting it. So we want to let people know about that. Usually we keep that just for our subscribers, exactly who and how much we're buying, but we've been pretty vocal about those two. Then to wrap things up, of course, it goes without saying that copper is doing well. Gold is going to do well. Silver is up. It's not responding quite as much as gold, but that means, given data, silver has a long way to catch up for it to reach its highs. So there's an opportunity there, and we're looking at different silver plays as well. We're waiting for a lot of news out of Mexico. They're on that tariff talk list as well right now, and we're very hopeful from discussions with groups in Mexico that we're hopefully going to get some clarification. I don't see their leader is pragmatic. I don't see there being any case scenario for them to not encourage mining in Mexico, to want the investment dollars to meet the demands of the amount of silver that's required for all these solar panels. Just the silver, like never mind copper or any other metal, just for that alone. So I'm hopeful that some of these things are come to fruition in the next months ahead. And on that note, in the next months ahead, we will have an interview out. For those that remember, one of my highest conviction companies was Desert Mountain Energy, that had done exceptionally well, was rocketing to another dimension there for years, and then had to move out of Arizona. We have a video coming out, an interview. It's been a number of years with Robert Rolfing that will be coming out next week. Make sure you check that out. Of course, we're going to try to continue that, but there'll be more revealed with Desert Mountain Energy the year ahead. We love companies, whether that are niche, nuanced, vertically integrated. But like everything, when you're talking about extractive business, you're talking politics at the end of the day as well. And it's unfortunate, but especially in today's day and age, when you have ideological focus being, there's a lot of mixed messaging. Let's just say that. So very exciting year ahead. Lots of excitement happening right now. On top of the stress of everyone worrying about what tariffs are going to look like, it's a screaming opportunity for gold. And even if there aren't tariffs, even if they say no, we're not going to have tariffs. Canada, just secure your border, like they've asked. We won't impose tariffs then. That doesn't change the outlook for gold. It's still going to be an amazing outlook for gold. There's so much happening in the world. Never mind the debt issues. We've talked about it enough. You guys understand, but we need to get that out to people. And that's part of my job, is that we don't necessarily talk specifically about companies like I am today, where I'm, so excited about, because we want to be as biased for mining, yes, but unbiased. So we're helping to educate people so they can send it out to anyone and go, listen, this guy's passionate about what Canada can unlock. There's an opportunity here for someone who doesn't have a lot of money. The gains in mining, it's just like, it could be like crypto. Like when mining goes, it goes. There's opportunity here for people to fight the amount of money they've lost over the last 7-8 years because of inflation, especially the last couple. Our Canadian dollar is being, decimated. There's a chance there. If you've been holding gold, you're doing all right. You're doing fine. That's part of what you should be talking to your advisor with, your financial planner. I'm certainly not giving financial advice, but we like to bring up these ideas so you can take it to them and say, hey, should I be looking at this? Is this something we should be talking about? In any event, it's a nice Friday out here. Pleased to have you here. We've got a very busy day. I've got a lot of interviews, a lot of people we're talking to. We are up early for this power nickel discussion that was happening this morning as well. So we wanted to get all that out to you and right fresh from the as soon as it hit the markets, and get a little excited and to shout out about some of the wins out there, to remind people that there's lots of good things happening along with a lot of stress. So enjoy your Friday, enjoy your weekend. Keep sending us messages and emails. Reach out to me, Andrew at themarketmindset.ca. If you have any specific questions for any of these companies, we look like we're having a strong lineup of interesting companies coming on, and we want to work with you as well. So other companies out there, reach out to us. If you've got a good perspective, you've got a good project, let's chat. Anyways, everyone, have a great Friday. Take care, and we'll see you soon.
We drilled it expecting to get more, 1.5% nickel type thing, which would be fine, which would be great. you get a lot of happy people finding a 1.5% nickel. Nonetheless, what we found was something quite completely different. We found our discovery hole was almost 8 meters of what was about 1 ounce PGMs, 1.5% copper, and it was 60 meters from surface. So it was quite a surprise, and obviously a happy surprise. We hit some amazing holes, really, each one sort of better than the next. We had, I don't know, at least, 5 or 6 holes of 10 meters or 10% copper equivalent or better, some over 20%. Unheard of holes, really, anywhere in the world, in the history of the world. So that's how good it was. And, so that, made us really sort of rethink what we had here.